Welcome back to video 2B. This is the third video for chapter 7, algorithm design and problem solving. We're going to be focusing, this is part 1 because it's quite a big section, we're going to be focusing on pseudocode. This is where we're at in terms of the chapter. As you can see, chapter 7 and learning about algorithm design is a big topic. Okay, so what do we need to know? We're going to be looking at assigning using the arrow to assign values to variables. We're going to understand and use pseudocode using the following conditional statements. We're using the if statement, if then else and else if, a case statement that we certainly haven't covered before. We're going to be using loops, for loops, repeat until loops and while loops. We are going to be doing inputs and outputs. We're going to be looking at totaling and counting, but we'll do that in the next video. Okay, so pseudocode. What is pseudocode? Okay, this is a simple method of showing an algorithm by using English keywords. They're very similar to those used in high-level programming languages, such as Python. Data items to be processed by the algorithm are given meaningful names in the same way that variables and constants are given suitable names. However, and this is where the difference lies, it isn't bound by strict syntax rules. It is sort of standard English, but you'll see as we progress. And here we go, we can see this a little bit clearer here. So I'm using the assign, I'm using this arrow tool to represent equals, or assigning a value to a constant, as I said, or a variable, and there you can see the items there. So in this case, for example, the selling price would be price up here plus a tax, which would give us 22.4, basically 2 lots of cost, which would be the price, and then plus a tax, which will be multiplying that by 0.12. Okay, these are the operators that we're going to use for mathematical terms. These are the mathematical operators. So these are the mathematical operators we'll be using when we're working with numbers in Python, in pseudocode, the same way as if we were to be using it in any programming language. So the obvious ones, of course, the plus sign, the minus sign. We use the star for multiplication. We use the slash for divide. We have a raise to the power, which is the little up arrow on the keyboard here, and we've got the parentheses, the brackets, to represent when we're going to be doing something first. A little bit like BIDMAS in mathematics. Okay, so activity 1. Have a little look through this. I'll give you a few moments. What do you think, maybe jot down, what values will be saved in each of these variables? Okay, if you want to pause the video and have a think about that. If not, I will show you the answer in 3, 2, 1, and there we go. So amount stays the same. Of course, we're going to times that by 2.5 to get the total price. A discount of 0.2. A final price would be 2,000. The name, Mr. Bulmer, and a message, hello plus Mr. Bulmer. Okay. Next, I want to take a look at conditional statements and how these can be written in pseudocode. So we've got 2 examples here. 2 different types of conditional statements as shown. We've got the if statement, which you should be familiar with if you've done any Python in the past, any programming. And we've got a case statement, which is really to do with choosing items from a list. Okay, so let's have a little talk about this. A condition that can be true or false. We're going to use if, then, else, and end if, and all these statements need to be put into the pseudocode. We basically add the additions to where these dots are. So, if the variable age is less than 18, then print that person is a child. Else, here we go, print adult, and the if statement. Okay, nice and simple. So if the age is less than 18, then print child, else print this. Nice and simple. And for the case statement, again, case of, otherwise, end case, we're going to be filling in the gaps between these words here. Case variable grade of any of these 3. A, print excellent. B, print good. C, print average. Otherwise, give me an alternative, print improvement is needed, and end the case. So we've got a nice little program there that gives us 4 different choices. So we've got true or false, or we've got several different options. I'm going to start adding a few comparison operators into this. This one's obviously the same as before. If found, if true, then output search was successful, else the search was unsuccessful. It's basically true or false, and then end the if statement. This one, we've got several different comparison operators. If the height is greater than 1, or the weight is greater than 2, and the age is less than 70, and the age is greater than 5, then output you can ride. Else, if some of these, one or more of these, is untrue, then you're too small, you're too young, or you're too old. End the if statement. So we're using same thing, true or false, but this time we're using some comparison operators to add other options. And here are the comparison operators that we need to learn. Greater than, less than, equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to, and or not. Some of these in maths you'll be familiar with. So let's have a look at this one. We've got a task to do. Output. So display a message on the screen. Please enter the score. And then input percentage score. So get the person to enter the percentage score. If what the person has entered, i.e. the percentage score, is less than 0 or the score is greater than 100, then output invalid score. So it needs to be between 0 or 100. Else, if this score is greater than 49, then output this is a pass. Otherwise, or else, output this is a fail. End if and end this if. Okay, these are known as nested ifs. We've got an if inside an if statement. Okay, how we're going to rewrite that? Well, there's a few lines we need to look at. Certainly the 0 and the 100. So this time I've changed percentage score to score because it's a score between 0 and 20. If the score is less than 0 or the score is greater than 20, we've changed that. And else, if the score is greater than 9, then that becomes a passing grade. So nice and simple for this first rewrite the task. In this case, we've got the case statement again, the choices, answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, or answer 4. And this could be a little program, a basic calculator, where we're doing additions, subtractions, multiplication, and division. Otherwise, if you don't enter the number 1, 2, 3, or 4, you'll get an enter a valid choice message. And then we end the case. Do you want to have a think about what this might be? We're looking at the days of the week. So use a case statement to display the day of the week if the variable day has a whole number value between 1 and 7 inclusive and an error message otherwise. There we go. Case of variable day, 7 choices, Sunday through to Saturday, otherwise the error in day number. Somebody's not entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. And the case. We're then going to move on to loops, and we've got 3 different ways of showing loops. Basically, if you've used Python before, you'll know about the for loop and the while loop, and this is how we're going to sort of write these in pseudocode. Okay, for this one, we're going to be using all 3 of the programs, the for loop, the while loop, and the repeat loop. Each of these 3 programs needs to display these 10 stars. So we assign 1 to 10 to our value counter, and then within the loop, because it's indented, look, output star, and then next counter. So it loops around, once, next counter twice, 3, 4, and so on. With this one, we set the counter value to a value of 0, and then we repeat the output, print the star, but then we assign the value within the loop, counter plus 1. So counter grows each time the increases by 1 each time we loop around the loop until the counter has a value greater than 9, i.e. 10. And then this one, we assign counter again, the value is 0, but while the counter is less than 10, do this little loop, repeat, 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 add counter plus 1 like before, and then end the while loop once the value is not less than 10, i.e. the value is 10. Okay, so an example on this one, as before, counter starts at 1 and finishes at 10 because we're assigning this value 4, 2, and next. For counter, assign the values 1 through to 10, output, enter name of student, inputs, name counter, and click on next. And I'm going to show you how this works in Python. So this code here I've taken from the presentation, which involves you assigning a value for the counter 1 to 10. So basically repeat 10 times. Output, enter, type in the name of the student. Input, get the person to enter the name of the student, but base that on the counter, so that basically the person's going to enter the student name 10 times. So basically we're going to use a for I in range and basically input 10 names, doing it this way. Student name equals input. So really the code is, in this case, is easier, but this is like a universal how you would do it. So basically I've taken that and I've turned that into actual Python code. The next one, repeat until again. Set the total and the score to 0, and then repeat, but this time we're going to assign total to total plus score, so at the moment 0 plus 0. Output, enter the value for score, or type -1 in to finish, input score. So the person inputs the score, inputs the score, inputs the score, inputs the score, and just keeps inputting scores until they type in -1, and that will end this repeat cycle. It's repeating until somebody types in -1. Okay, and this is a post condition basically outside the loop. So this is how I would do it in Python. I would go total equals 0, score equals 0, and while true, total equals total plus score. I've done here. Score equals input the value for score using this message. If the score equals -1, then we're going to break the program. How does that work? So if I was to run this program and I was to type in some scores, it would stop as soon as I've typed in -1. So that's turning pseudocode into actual Python code. Okay. And then finally, this loop structure is used when the number of repetitions, iterations is not known, and the actions are only repeated while a given condition is true. So, set the value of total to 0, output, enter value for score, i.e. -1 to finish, input the score. So while the score is not equal to, this is what, remember what this means, remember, -1, do this loop. Okay, until somebody types in the score of -1, and then it will end the while loop. So that's now putting the -1 within the loop. Okay, this is a preconditioned loop, as a test for exiting the loop is at the beginning of the loop. Just to finish off, here are some editors which might be useful, some online editors for writing pseudocode, and show you this. We have some sample code and we can run it inside the boxes. Okay, well thank you, that is it from me. We are going to move on next time and talk about input and output statements and the rest of pseudocode. Please continue to ask questions, leave your comments, hit notifications, and please subscribe. And finally, if you wish to buy me a coffee, I'd be truly grateful. Please visit buymeacoffee.com/learning zone. Thank you very much indeed. See you next time. Bye for now.